Mönchengladbach was the raid in which you were shot down.
Yeah.
So would you mind, if you don't mind, describing
No,
that operation, please?
That was, we were briefed to go in fairly late on. It was the first time we were dropping our own target markers as a Pathfinder. And we were briefed to go in, I think it was about 20 minutes past the HR. And it's a very short flight actually, only about 2 hours each way from Cambridge area to the edge of the Ruhr. And we thought this was going to be a pretty easy one, really, there and back, 4 hours. We just set it up to, when you get near the target, which we could see very clearly as well, burning well, you know. When you get near the target, you've got to fly straight and level. Normally, over enemy territory, you would corkscrew it slightly all the time, making it more difficult for night fighters to get a bead on you. But as you approach the target, the bomb aiming requires you to go absolutely straight and level so you can get his bomb sight on the target. And that's the stage where the night fighters came up underneath where you couldn't see them unless you had it. And by that time they realised it was a bad idea to shoot straight at their fuselage because the bombs would probably go off and get them too. So they shot into one of the wings of the aircraft to set the petrol tanks on fire. And this is what happened to us. Simple as that.
And was this? Do you know which aircraft it was that shot you down?
It was a Messerschmitt 110.
And did it have the upward firing guns, the Schrager music, or did it?
Probably did. I'm not sure.
Right.
It was certainly underneath us.
Yes. So it came underneath, and you were over the target area.
Yeah.
And took out, was it your port starboard wing?
The port petrol tanks.
Port petrol tank.
On fire straight away.
So what was your initial thoughts when you?
Well, at that stage, which was actually, advice was changed later, but at that stage we were told to dive to try and blow out the fire with the pressure of the slipstream. That really, I think, only made it worse, actually. And it didn't take very long, probably a minute or so, to realise that we weren't going to get this far out. So we decided we'd have to abandon the aircraft, and I told the bomb aimer to jettison the bombs, which he did, and then told them all to get out. I held on as long as I could, because it takes a bit of time for the mid-upper gunner and people like that to clear down the fuselage and out to the door. And the bomb aimer, flight engineer, Wallace operator, went out to the bottomless skate hatch in the nose of the aircraft. And at that stage, there was an explosion in the back of the aircraft. I think it was probably the flares, which probably, I think, blew out part of the tail, I think, and I lost control completely. So I made a dash for the front escape hatch. You were taught to dive out, and I made a dive through it. Earlier on, the flight engineer had passed me my parachute to fasten on the front, and I got somehow caught up in that. I think it was because of by that time the aircraft had gone into a spin, and the sideways force of the air flung me against the side of the escape hatch, and the harness was caught into something there. I couldn't get back in and I couldn't get out, head down. So eventually I decided I was probably going to be killed, but I made an effort to undo the harness, hopefully hanging onto it and jump out, clutching it and pulling a ripcord. It was pretty forlorn hope, but that was the only thing I could think of to do. And next thing I knew, I was on the ground, face down on the earth, wondering why I was still alive.
So had the parachute actually opened?
No.
Right. So you don't know how?
I was without the parachute, without my flying boots, just the Mae West, the flotation thing,
right, still
on me.
So from actually leaving the aircraft to hitting the ground, you don't know how you got there, really?
No idea. It was, I can only assume it went in on what they call a flat spring. The wingtip must have hit hit the ground first, and sort of flung me out in some way.
Good Lord.
I wasn't conscious of that part of it just as well, I think.
What about the rest of the crew? Are they?
Well, I found out later on that they were all got clear, and so I met them all after the war.